Since the Cell games have ended, I figured I would finally talk about the future timeline before moving forward with the present timeline, which, to do that, we must go back to age 764, which is when King Cold was coming to Earth after the death of his son, though obviously, there isn't a future Trunks to come back and save them. So, between the heroes, it is a very somber mood as they think the Earth is done for, as none of them had the power to defeat Frieza, let alone to be able to defeat King Cold. So, once King Cold arrives, he sends out all the soldiers to fight for him, as they wait for the Super Saiyan to arrive. Though, before they can take off to go and start to attack the planet, the warrior that defeated Frieza teleports in front of them. She would have been coming back in her pod by now, but she would have sensed a key like Frieza's on planet Earth, which is obviously where her destination was, so she decided to teleport there instead. After all, if her son is indeed on this planet, she couldn't just let him, along with his friends and family if he had any, die at the hands of King Cold. Regardless, after she arrives, she would be able to quickly defeat any of his minions without even having to turn Super Saiyan. Though, once it comes to fighting the Tyrant, she does indeed have to transform. However, King Cold wouldn't stand a chance against a Saiyan warrior and would be blasted to ashes in a similar way that his son was on Namek, which, now that the Tyrant is dead, she would drop back down to her base form and try to find where the heroes are. She wouldn't have to look far though, as after they sensed that King Cold had died, they would have flown to her to see who had killed King Cold. When she sees Goku, however, it would be a very heartfelt moment, possibly even bringing Gine to tears, since she would be happy to see her son, along with his appearance reminding her of her late husband, Bardock. Regardless, they would have a similar conversation as what I mentioned in the part of the main timeline, with them catching up on what they have been doing in the past years. Though, as usual, Gine would be much more interested in what her son has been doing. Also, as per usual, with the help of Goku and King Kai's guidance, she would go to New Namek to be able to revive Raditz, which, the next couple years go the same, with Raditz and Tights settling down and having their identical twin daughters, along with Goku and Chi-Chi having a Goten a year earlier, since Goku was on Earth earlier. Gine also trains with Goku, Gohan, and Raditz, though Raditz still trains with Vegeta every now and again. However, the happy times don't last, as in age 766, Goku catches the heart virus and dies, which was a shock to his friends and family. This would especially upset Gine greatly, as no parent should have to outlive their child, but unfortunately it does happen. She would grieve over this for a little while, but would eventually realize that she must be strong now, for the sake of her grandchildren. So, after Goku had passed away, she started to help with the training of Gohan, though she didn't force him into training, as she understood his peaceful nature since she was the same way, so they just trained together whenever he wanted to. Chi-Chi would probably be fine with this, so she would at least be happy to see something make Gohan happy after the passing of Goku. Regardless, things get even worse in age 767, since, as you probably guessed, the androids are awoken and start to cause havoc on Earth. Piccolo was the first one to die, which of course also means the Dragon Balls are gone too, since Kami would have died as well. Next, Vegeta would have died at the hands of the android menaces. Also, even though Raditz is more cautious of a Saiyan, I still think he would have been the next to fall in the android's onslaught. Next, Yamcha would die, then Tien, Krillin, and finally Shotzi were killed by the duo, which, because of the death of Raditz and the Z-Fighters, who she would have gotten close to in the last 3 years, she would start to grieve over them, though she would get back to fighting much sooner since she had to be the one to help protect Gohan and the others. However, she would be much less reckless in jumping in to fight the androids, so she doesn't die in this initial onslaught. So, in the years to follow, she would train Gohan, and help him with training Trunks, Goten, and Raditz's daughters, Kami and Kemi. Though, once Gohan gets old enough to help train them, he would probably train Trunks and Goten, while Gine trained Kami and Kemi. There are times they all train together, but it just makes it easier overall to have 2 students each instead of one training 4 or 5 if we count Gohan. Also, something to mention is that while Gine could have teleported them to New Namek, since she knew where it was, she figured it would have been better to wait until after the android threat was dealt with. The Namekian and Dragon Balls didn't have a time limit after all, so what would be the point to wish them back just to die again against the androids? So, 12 years would pass, meaning it is now age 779, with Gine having trained them the whole time, along with Gohan training them as well once he got old enough, and holding off the androids too. They wouldn't be able to defeat the androids by any means, but the extra power of Gine being there would at least help them fare a little better against the mechanical menaces. One day, as they're all training together, the androids start their attack on Superworld, which once all of them arrive, Gohan starts to take on Android 17, while Gine started to take on Android 18. Trunks, Goten, Kami, and Kemi would watch from the sidelines, but once Gohan and Gine starts to get beaten down, they try to intervene in the fight. Though, with them intervening, they easily get distracted and start to get beaten down even more by the androids. Gine and Gohan both must save the younger ones from near death, since they can't go Super Saiyan yet, and hide in the debris of the amusement park. However, when they start blasting the amusement park to try and draw them out, Gohan wouldn't be the one to receive an injury here. Sure, he was trying to protect the younger ones, but Gine would have been trying to protect him, so she would probably be the one to take the brunt of the attack. I haven't decided what injury she would receive, but the point is she would be the one to have lost something instead of Gohan losing his arm. Which, when they take Gine back to Bulma in tights, her grandchildren would be feeling bad that they got in the way, which directly led to her being injured. Though Gine is very forgiving, so when she came through she wouldn't be mad at them, as she would have had rather it had been her than one of them. She couldn't have handled losing one of her grandchildren, after having already lost both of her sons. Regardless, eventually Gine would have recovered from this, but while she was recovering, the younger Saiyans' training would have continued with Gohan. It probably would have taken her a year to recover, as in the manga in the fight feature Gohan died in, Android 17 mentioned it was a year since he last saw him, and was surprised that he escaped from that fight alive. Anyway, one day after Gine finished recovering, she would have gone to a town that wasn't destroyed yet, at the behest of Kami and Kemi, to take them shopping for things like clothes, which Gine would agree to as she must get supplies for all of them anyway. Regardless, while they were walking through the town, the androids would end up starting to attack this town. So, we don't know what happened to Central City in the future timeline, so for the sake of this story that's where I'm going to say that this fight happened. Anyway, when the androids start to attack the city, Gine, Kami, and Kemi would, of course, try to defend the people of the city against the two androids, though Kami and Kemi wouldn't be doing much to even one of the androids, let alone trying to take on both at once. Eventually, the android duo would get bored of the twin girls and would just knock them out. That way, they could focus on fighting the one that is interesting for them to fight, which of course is Gine. I believe this fight would start like what Future Gohan's last fight did, with Gine kicking one of the androids, probably Android 18, away. This would damage her outfit and make her annoyed, so once they start fighting they would reveal that they had just been toying with her the whole time. Despite her being outnumbered and having the handicap of her injury, she still puts up a long and suspenseful fight against Android 18. However, she eventually gets bored of this and kills Gine shortly after, which from there, the android duo would bicker about what to do with Kami and Kemi, though in the end they'd leave them alive, as they needed someone to toy with in the future. So, after the two twin androids take off, they left the twin girls there passed out. However, once they wake up, it's a rude awakening to say the least, since they would have found their grandmother dead. Also, they probably would be injured from the fight with the androids, but I'm not sure how severe their injuries would be. Regardless, finding their grandmother dead would have been the catalyst for the twin girls to turn Super Saiyan for the first time, much like how Future Gohan's death was the catalyst for Trunks to unlock Super Saiyan for the first time, which, when they eventually make it back to Bulma and the others, they would have to break the news about what happened to Gine. After this, while Kami and Kemi are recovering, it eventually reaches the point in time where Gohan and Trunks were training together, but are interrupted by the androids starting to attack Pepper Town. Since Gohan didn't want Trunks to go, he knocks him out as usual and heads off towards Pepper Town. Once he arrives, he fares a little better against the two since he still has both arms, but he doesn't stand a chance against one of them, let alone both androids. So, they still end up knocking Gohan to the ground and killing him, then leaving shortly after. However, Trunks still awakens around this time and arrives to find Gohan dead, which as usual, is when he becomes a Super Saiyan as well. Now we jump 3 years ahead to age 783, as Trunks, Kami, and Kemi come back from gathering supplies, where Bulma and Tights are working on the time machine. However, a news bulletin comes on the radio, saying that the androids are attacking Bridgetown and the three Saiyan warriors go off to fight the androids, ignoring the pleas of their mothers. Once they arrive though, they are completely outclassed and toyed with by the androids, but they somehow survive. They then wake up in a hospital bed with their mothers nearby, where they discuss the plans for using the time machine. Then, anywhere from 6 months to a year later, in age 784, Trunks is the one to take it back in time. Both Kami and Kemi wanted to be the ones to go, but there was only room in the time machine for one person, so for them to decide who went back in time, they drew straws and Trunks won, which I already went over what happens when Trunks was in the past, but to everyone in the future he basically returns right after he left, and tells them how meeting Goku went. Then a year later he goes to the past again to help with the android threat, which what happens there is what we see in the videos I did on the Android and Cell sagas for this timeline. Regardless, Trunks returns and fills in on what happened in the past, then quickly flies off towards Parsley Town, which Android 18 was still in the process of blowing it up since she couldn't beat a video game. Android 18 was quickly annoyed by Trunks' arrival and tried to kill him right away, but he easily deflected her blast and then shot her with his own, vaporizing the android. Android 17 would be in shock because of this, but he would be beaten down easily by the Saiyan warrior and eventually vaporized as well. After this, In the next 3 years, Trunks would take Cammy and Kemi up to the lookout. We never have any confirmation about if it's there or was destroyed in the future timeline, but I'm going to say it was there for the purpose of this story. So, after talking with Mr. Popo, they would go into the hyperbolic time chamber. Trunks would train to master Super Saiyan like Goku and Gohan did, but also train Cammy and Kemi to master it as well. After another 3 years skip into the future, which is now age 788, Trunks and the others had gathered enough power for him to be able to go to the past again and say that he defeated the androids. However, as he was going to the time machine, Cell was getting ready to ambush him. Trunks knew he was there though, and called him out, revealing he knew his plan and revealing that androids 17 and 18 were defeated. Regardless, it wouldn't be Trunks that knocked Cell away from there, it would be the twin sisters in an ambush of their own, knocking him away before flying after him. They then transform into a Super Saiyan and easily beat down the bug monster. However, once Cell tries to resort to using his Kamehameha, the two girls easily beat him with a combined blast, vaporizing the creature. And so, the future was now restored to a time of peace, at least for now.